This is the brush country of South Texas, and 5 or 6 years ago it was on quiet rural roads like this one in Dimmitt County that America's shale energy revolution began to take off. The town of Carrizo Springs was hit by a sudden burst of industrialization, and the surrounding countryside has been covered by a sprawl of warehouses, tanker parks, fracking machinery and oil wells.
They came in with a drilling rig, drilled the hole. They came back and fracked it, and then it started producing. It varies depending on what the price of oil, the price of how many gallons they pull out and everything, but in smaller wells it could be anywhere from $1,000 up to $5,000 a month. It helps us for college education, for our own infrastructure in the ranch, maintaining roads and everything else of that sort. It really helps us a lot.
The oil boom has brought unemployment in this once impoverished county down to well below the national average, but the activity is taking its toll.
Here in Carrizo Springs, this intersection is the centre of town, the local equivalent of Times Square or Piccadilly Circus. But what it lacks in bright lights, it certainly makes up for in traffic. There are huge 18-wheelers like this pounding the tarmac, which it wasn't designed for. They alarm the locals and they're clogging up the roads.
Nowadays, with all the truck traffic and all the commotion that's going on with all the trucks, and people are actually afraid to leave their home because for fear that they might get killed. There have been a lot of accidents, been a lot of deaths, things that we're not used to. It used to be that somebody would die once a year, and it was a big thing in our area. Now we're having people die weekly, in car accidents, truck accidents. So the tranquility that the elderly were used to having has been lost.
Thousands of oil workers have flocked to Dimmitt County from elsewhere, and they need food and shelter. So the landscape is also filled with a host of businesses serving their needs.
What we've done here is we've built a 200-bed man camp for the oil field workers, trying to give them an upscale way of life as opposed to the storage containers I found them in when I first got down here 3.5 years ago, where they had 10 bunk beds in a storage unit with a window unit. We call ourselves the Marietta Man Camps.
Energy workers now have something of their own to complain about. The plunge in the oil price has forced companies to cut back on their shale investments, and the consequences are all too real for many oil men in Carrizo Springs. If they've not been laid off entirely, they're having their hours cut, sometimes by as much as 50%. As a result, the mood over evening drinks is grim, and the talk is of more pain to come. Whatever happens, this little town knows it can't escape the reverberations.
The oil industry is slowing down, but it's not grinding to a halt. These tanks behind me are still going to be cleaned up and sent back out there to be filled with oil, water, fracking chemicals. What Carrizo Springs is learning is about the ups and downs of this industry, the swings from exuberance to depression and maybe back to exuberance again. Who knows? It's hard to predict the oil price, and it's also hard to predict what kind of town the oil industry is going to leave in its wake. This is Barney Jopson for the Financial Times in Dimmitt County, Texas.